Good morning to you. It is Tuesday already. Wow, Tuesday. It is the 28th of January, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato, and welcome to ONNJ Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is good to have you along. Thank you so much. And you know what? It looks sunny behind me because that's a TV. Let's find out if we're going to have real sunshine or maybe a burst of flurries. Let's get right over to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Is this true, what you're saying? Maybe a snow squall?
A little snow squall, a lot of snow showing up on radar just off to our north, Ken, but it's slowly working its way down across northern New Jersey. So I think if you find yourself north of Route 78 this morning, you will likely see a few flakes and flurries fly around this morning. South of there, unlikely. It's just going to be cloudy for the rest of the morning for you before the sun returns. Look at those lines of snow coming through. There's even some snow squall warnings off to our north and west. I don't think we get into that sort of territory, but it certainly will be one to watch, especially with the afternoon looking very sunny with a quick change in the weather. So we'll zoom on in here. Live radar showing a few of those blips of blue there right along Route 78 and 287, even a little further north. A lot of these moved on by in the last few hours. So they're fast moving, likely giving us a quick dusting on the car tops. Really, the future radar even showing more of these snow squalls move on in across, say, Sullivan, Orange County, and then entering Sussex County in the next few hours, all exiting by noon. So it's a very fast moving system. You notice, though, that it's a whole lot warmer than this time yesterday. We are starting off with temperatures in the mid and upper 30s, approaching 40 degrees, but it's the winds, the gusty winds outside right now, also associated with those flurries with the front passing through. That's making that 29-mile-per-hour wind in Morristown take that temperature of 39, and it feels like 27. So the wind chill certainly adds to the chill we feeling this morning, even through Long Branch and Toms River, where currently it feels like 30. All of this chilly weather allows for I think, a better finish to the day thanks to the sunshine. But you notice with the temperature change, it is 22 degrees warmer this time today than yesterday over in Flemington. So, with all of the clouds now moving out, the flurries moving in, we'll likely see the sun return throughout the course of the morning, especially into the afternoon, where highs today, they'll get up to 42 in Hackensack, 43 in Jersey City, 39 in Morristown, and 36 in Sussex. It'll feel much better by day's end, especially as that wind relaxes into the afternoon. There's some more snow and rain on the board, specifically for Friday. And then again this weekend. We'll detail it coming up with your complete forecast, Ken, and talk more about what's going on with this morning's flurries, as well as those changes to the weekend forecast. It's in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll definitely keep people updated all morning. Right now, by the way, 35 degrees. So it's right at that edge. We were talking about this before. Mike said that, yeah, that's a clash of fronts. We get that little change of temperatures. It is 7:04 right now on your Tuesday morning. A very happy Tuesday morning to you oh gosh, the 28th of January. We're almost at the end already. My old saying was, as long as you get through February, then you see spring coming up in March. So keep your fingers crossed that it comes faster rather than later. In the meantime, you are invested in the market at all, or you have your retirement plan to keep an eye on. Yesterday, you saw the market go flat, and there's a reason for that. The tech sector really went flat. You may have heard of the term NVIDIA. That's the chip maker that's big in the Silicon Valley. They make the chips that are in your phones, your computers, et cetera. It's one of the most advanced chip makers on the planet. The question is, did China break in and steal some of their chips? There are apparently some missing chips, but we have details up ahead right now. Let's get right over to our tech expert, Fisher, who joins us now live and tells us all about what's going on. What happened with the tech sector, and tell us all about it.
Hey, Ken, good morning. There's a company called DeepSeek that kind of this weekend not just appeared, it's been there, but it just made quite an impact. Now, we'll start with what DeepSeek is. It's a Chinese artificial intelligence startup founded in 2023 by a Chinese hedge fund. It rivals OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT. We talked about Google's Gemini AI yesterday with the new rollout of the Samsung Galaxy S25 series. Microsoft's Copilot, Meta's Llama, those are all artificial intelligence, machine learning codecs, right? And so here's DeepSeek out of China. It's an open source model, which means any developer can use pieces of the program to develop software, whether it's chatbots or summarize your email, your text. If you have an iPhone, you see this now, and you see it as well, like I mentioned, on your Android phones as well. So they made quite an impact.
And why should we worry, or should we worry? I mean, and this is on the heels of TikTok, et cetera. We had
Mhm.
President Trump come and intervene. So should we be concerned about our privacy, et cetera, in using this DeepSeek? As a lot of people downloaded, apparently it was the most downloaded thing yesterday online.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two parts to this. One, and what the big deal about it is that DeepSeek is basically claiming that they could do what those other entities that I mentioned, all U.S. based, say they do, but they're DeepSeek's claiming that they could do it 20 to 50% cheaper, right? So companies are dumping billions of dollars into artificial intelligence and machine learning. Last year, 2023 estimate is $50 billion was dumped into, whether it's data centers, chips, people, all of it. The payoff is predicted to be $1 trillion in revenue within a decade. Now, if DeepSeek can do it cheaper, that's the concern as to why is our tech companies, or why are our tech companies spending so much. In addition, not only tech stocks crashed yesterday, you mentioned NVIDIA, they were down 17%. The market overall, NASDAQ was down just over 3%. The S&P was down about 1.5%. But it's more than that, right? So NVIDIA is the front runner for chips. Billions of dollars are being primarily dumped to them for their GPUs, the graphic processing units, but they lost $600 billion in market cap just yesterday. Data center companies like Dell and Oracle, like I mentioned, fell 8.7%. So energy sector also tanked yesterday as well, because if you don't need all of that electricity to run these processors, these data centers, there's a worry there as well. Now, where the effect of what the ramifications of DeepSeek. First of all, it's a Chinese company. I'm going to give you 3 points in a second, read right off of their privacy statement. But censorship is number one. If you go to DeepSeek, you download the app, and you type in Tiananmen Square, you will find absolutely nothing. The risk of it being banned, right? So if developers start integrating it into software for, like I mentioned, chatbots or whatever the case is, if it's banned, now they have to back all of that code out. Now, the important part and why it's so dangerous, if you've ever used ChatGPT, and we probably all have in some respects, one way or another, whether it's to write my resume or help me, summarize this story, think of it from a corporation standpoint. Somebody needs to create an executive summary. So usually before you do a big presentation, you have all your PowerPoint decks and your Word docs and all the stuff that you're going to present. So you want to create an executive summary. Now imagine you work for a major company. There might be some risky pieces, some things that shouldn't be released. You might be a public company, and one of your workers dumps the plan into DeepSeek and says, "Hey, give me an executive summary." You have just dumped that into China. Same thing.
You've handed it
Developers.
to them.
Yeah, you have. And developers use ChatGPT and these open source, programs as well to clean up code. So everything that we do, from the fact that we're talking right now to your favorite websites, your apps, whatever it is all based on code, and it's written by humans for the most part. Well, if you want to see if that code is, has any errors, will, this work with this? Developers can dump that code into DeepSeek. And what have you just done? Given the back end of your website, your app, again, to China. Now, here's 3 pieces off of DeepSeek's privacy. And I'm going to read it. I just want to make sure I have it. Number 1, we store the information we collect in secure servers located in the People's Republic of China. So
there you go.
Again, compared to TikTok, or which, TikTok, the problem was that China had a back door, but the servers were on American soil. And Google, Meta, all of it, their servers are here. They're regulated by the American government. When you use our services, we may collect your text or audio input, prompt, uploaded files, feedback, chat history, or other content that you provide to our model and services. Now, again, that's you're providing that content to summarize. Device model, operating system, keystroke patterns, IP addresses, and system languages are also captured. And that's without doing anything. So they'll already know you have an iPhone, your IP address. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago with TikTok. Your keystroke patterns, that's sort of is that my password to my bank? Is that my login to my company? What are those keystrokes? And again, we store the information and collect in secure servers located in the People's Republic of China. So, speculation.
You just have to remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we just feel so comfortable in our homes, we just click and we think, "Well, what could happen? Nobody's gonna come to the door with a gun, we could just click away." And you're right, and then what happens is for the rest of the day, every
Hmm.
keystroke is being memorized. It doesn't have to be memorized by a human at first, right? A computer will memorize those keystrokes and look for keywords and then feed
Yep.
those keywords and say, "Ah, this guy has all this top secret information." That's how it gets over to the enemy.
100%. And, there's speculation out there as well that a DeepSeek may not actually be, shockingly, and China may not be telling the truth on the efficiency of DeepSeek. DeepSeek also claims that they're not using any American technology. That I don't believe anybody in the tech sector actually believes they could have acquired chips, China, before the export ban. Also, there are rumors that they have about 50,000 NVIDIA GPUs, and I think it's the H100, which is their highest chip, that they might be running on that as well. And it's also owned by a China hedge fund. Now, could they have shorted NVIDIA and all these other tech stock companies to raise capital while hurting American companies?
Mm.
And it also could be a message to Donald Trump and the administration saying we could still get, American technology without your help. So there's a lot there. It's evolving at a rapid pace, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, the market's futures are up. So it seems like the hysteria is over a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and Fisher, just again, it's too easy for us to get too complacent, too comfortable with our equipment. We all
Absolutely.
rely on our digital equipment all day long. Even right now, you have your, I don't even want to say the word out loud, but the ALEXA that's around the house, you
Yeah.
say, kids play with it. They say, "Hey, tell me 2 + 2, whatever." And you
Hmm.
forget that it's listening to you at every moment because that's its job, right? It's listening to be activated and it's listening for keywords so it could answer you. But at the same time, you give up all your privacy. And in this case, you potentially are handing secrets to an enemy. And let me remind everybody that in the last year, we know for a fact that at least 20,000 Chinese nationals, mostly male, mostly age 20 to 40, just simply walked across the border from Mexico into San Diego. Why? Why would you spend literally what would cost more than an annual income to go from Beijing to Mexico City, then pay a mule to get you from Mexico City to San Diego, when if you were not doing something nefarious, you could simply get a visa and fly from Beijing to New York? No, there's something nefarious there. And yet the Biden administration let these people walk right in. We had video of them streaming across the border and nothing was done. For some reason, that was considered just fine. We are not friends with China. They are our enemy. Okay. I don't know what part of that the Biden administration didn't get. And now we have 20,000 plus, at least that we know of, 20,000 Chinese nationals. And they didn't come across in Texas. They didn't fly into Miami. They didn't come in through Canada. No, they came in through California, right by San Diego. And they'll likely have gone right up the highway to who knows, to the Silicon Valley. I mean, I'm of course guessing, but why else would they pick that spot? Are we that stupid? And we know that there was a Chinese spy that was arrested outside San Francisco about 6 weeks ago, flying drones over a military base. We are just too complacent. We're all too busy on TikTok to focus on what really matters, and this is our security at risk and at stake. So I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you being here. Let me just remind everybody, Fisher's a brand and digital strategist. He can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram. His username is @Fisher, as you see on the screen. You saw it there a minute ago. Again, at X, Threads, and Instagram. And you could get him through his website, fisher.media. Thank you so much for being so on top of it and letting us know. I
I
appreciate you.
appreciate
Thank you, Fisher. Have a great morning.
it.
You bet. All right, we're going to have a lot more of the morning show, of course, to come in just a few minutes. We're going to have Mike Favetta, meteorologist, with a chance of a little snow squall passing this morning. So just be aware of that. Maybe give yourselves a few extra minutes travel time. Right now, we have 35 degrees, a little milder than yesterday. 7:15 is our time. And ONNJ Mornings with Ken Rosato is coming right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. That is me. It is Tuesday, January 28th. A chilly morning it is right now, but not as chilly as yesterday. Temperature right now, 35 degrees through much of the area at 718. Let's check in on the forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta and the chance of a little snowburst this morning.
Couple flakes and flurries flying, yeah, northern New Jersey. Had a few of them earlier today, and I think there's another opportunity, especially as the morning rush gets going. You see the clouds and radar picture showing a few of these blue blips there, showing up on the radar picture, just in the northern section of the state, and then exiting or really dissipating quickly as much of that energy stays up to our north today. So for our forecast, actually brings back some sun today, and with highs that'll be up in the low 40s. We reach 41 in Freehold, a mix of clouds and sun this afternoon in Point Pleasant and Toms River, 42 and 43 for you. The good news about today is that with that little bit of extra wind, and you'll feel the wind when you step outside, the air quality is much better. That wind tends to mix up the air, stir it up a little bit, and that improves air quality. It doesn't trap the pollutants close to the ground like yesterday. It kind of disperses them throughout the column of air. So you can breathe more easily this afternoon, especially as those winds will be gusting up to about 15, 20 miles per hour through the midday. Then we head into tomorrow morning, and the forecast wind gusts are again going to be on the order of, say, 18 to 22 miles per hour. So it'll be breezy again throughout your Wednesday as that front pushes through, brings in another round of fresh air, but cools off a little bit with the winds relaxing for Thursday. What does that mean for wind chill? Well, it starts off chilly throughout tomorrow with those wind chills in the teens, and then by the afternoon, wind chills will be in the low 30s, so not all that bad. But with that reinforcing shot of cold air that comes in again tomorrow evening into Thursday morning, yeah, look at the shades of purple. We're back down into the teens with our wind chills by tomorrow evening, feeling quite chilly, and then back below zero, -2 on Thursday morning for Morristown. Feels like 11 in Newark, 9 in Long Branch on Thursday morning, and 11 in Ship Bottom down on LBI. So very cold weather returns with those gusty breezes. It'll feel quite chilly, setting the stage for the potential for a little bit more snow. So you see the future cast here over the next several hours this morning. A few clouds passing through, maybe a few bursts of flurries. That's also the case again throughout the afternoon tomorrow, although it'll be a little bit milder with highs in the 40s. So instead of, say, a flurry burst, might have a few snow grains fall. They call those snow pellets, even with that few showers in there. But it's Thursday afternoon that the clear air settles in. We get a beautiful sunny day on Thursday, and then we turn our attention to Friday. Notice the long range future cast showing some rain appearing on the board for Friday morning going into Friday afternoon. And with that, shades of green showing the rain, a little bit of pink. So there could be some ice mixing in there as well as we take it into the end of the work week. And then starting off the weekend with those clouds, there could also be some more snow coming in by Sunday with the next round of weather, a very weak system that moves on through, but it just locks the cold air in place. So we have all of this chilly weather that's been kind of running at us every few days from Canada, and then all of these systems are running along that jet stream, keeping the coldest air to our north, but we are kind of in that kind of super highway of weather that drives in a new system every few days. And that'll be the case even going into the weekend with another chance of that rain, snow, and ice likely, especially on Sunday. We'll talk more about it, Ken, give you the 7-day forecast and those details on the weekend, hour by hour, day by day. It's coming up in the next few minutes.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Our meteorologist, Mike Favetta. We'll check back. And again, it's 35 degrees right now, so definitely milder than it was yesterday, but you could feel a little dampness in the air. It certainly is different than it was yesterday. Well, so we just talked about the issue yesterday with the markets going down as they did. I mean, there was a big tank. And for those who have their retirement funds, of course, all tucked into the tech sector, you probably saw a huge dip in your savings yesterday. So we had our tech expert Fisher on just a little while ago. And again, warning everybody that if you are fast to download the app DeepSeek, which is the AI from China that claims to be all things wonderful, just remember that every keystroke that you make on your phone will get recorded by the Chinese government. They say so right in their disclaimer. They're not making a secret of it. So just, if people don't read the fine print, just beware of that. 7:22 is our time right now. If you want to call in, by the way, and talk about anything we're going to talk about today, our number is 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234 on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. We want to talk to you. That's what this is supposed to be about, a statewide interactive show. So we are also we understand that there has been a little uptick in drone activity. Remember, for the state of New Jersey, we had all the drone activity at the end of the year. Then we had the feds come in and the local governments, et cetera, come in and pass some restrictions about airspace so that there were many parts of New Jersey you couldn't fly drones. And we saw, at least we think we saw, a decrease in drone activity. Of course, also don't forget, with that decrease in drone spottings, you also had very cold temperatures. People tend not to go out and hang out at night when it's 8 degrees out. So there's a good chance that it could coincide with that. But since many of the restrictions were lifted, we now have the drone activity picking up. In fact, anywhere from 600 to 1,000 more drone spottings have been mentioned, and we are now tracking drone activity as well through the state of New Jersey. We have our drone expert on right now to talk about it. Let's go right over. Good morning to you. And you know what? And of course, this is big. You notice I'm humphering and fumphering. I don't have your name in front of me. So that is my unprofessional. This is what happens when you're in a home studio, which I acknowledge that I am. And I don't have my staff of minions around me. It's all about me. So please tell everybody your name, and we'll talk drones this morning. Good morning.
Well, Ken, thank you for having me. My name is Joshua Ziering. I'm the founder of Aloft.ai.
And we, of course, had you on before, Josh. I didn't realize that it was you. Good morning to you. And I've had you on both radio and TV before. So, Josh, I know you've made this amply clear before that so far, at least, the drones that have been spotted, with very few exception, even if they were drones, they have not been flown illegally. That people who are flying them have every right to fly them. So why are people getting so uptight about the drones?
Well, this happens anytime there's a new constituent in the national airspace, right? It's very difficult for people to say, what is this thing flying over me? Imagine the first time that airplanes were flying over your house 121 years ago, right? That's a very difficult thing for people to fathom. So there's going to be what we call non-traditional constituents in the national airspace. Drones just happen to be the latest version of that.
And we haven't had, I think just there were only a few exceptions, I know, in the beginning where they got a little close to military airspace, but that doesn't necessarily mean something nefarious, right? It could very well be that they were flying in that vicinity. People stray all the time. People who fly Cessnas accidentally stray into military airbase all the time, right? So it's an easy thing to do in an innocent way. But I think a lot of people have still been talking about when they see these masses of drones coming in off the water. And at the very least, they're speculating what that might be. Well, what might that be when you see 15 or 20 drones coming in unison off the water?
Well, it could be a number of different things. And one of the most interesting things is there's actually something called drone light shows. They're replacing traditional fireworks, which is an amazing thing. Fireworks have a number of different downsides, from the environmental risk to the risk of people who have PTSD being triggered. Drone light shows have coordinated versions of different ways that they can show what they're doing, and it uses a number of different drones in a swarm, and they make different things in the sky. It's awesome. It could very well be something simple, and I'm a big fan of keep it simple, stupid. So that's usually the easiest scenario is the most likely one.
If you want to go online, you could see some of those drone shows. In fact, there was was it either America's Got Talent or one of them where they surprised Simon Cowell with a drone light show, and I believe it won a couple of
He doesn't
seasons. It got a
deserve it.
season or
He's
two.
too mean to the contestants.
Exactly, right. But this some group of drone enthusiasts literally got together with, I think, 200, 300 drones that they coordinated, and the amount of plotting that must take is unbelievable to plot, because you have to plot out the location of every single drone versus every other drone, right?
Yeah, you need technology to do it, and it's an amazing feat of technology that is going to be used for good, not for evil. So drones really have a lot of positive upside for what they're capable of doing.
But okay, now we talked about the positives, but you still have people very nervous. And even President Trump, as he came in, said he was going to get to the bottom of the drones. So Is it possible that the government knows something and they're just not telling us? Is it possible that some of these drones might be looking for something that might be untowardly, that we might be a little concerned about? And if so, maybe, I mean, the question is the drone something that the government is launching, or is the government looking at the drone that's being used?
I think the government's looking at the drone being used. And one of the cool things we're working on at Aloft is a product called AirBoss. So we have the ability to read the signature, the license plate of the drone that's happening over the air. The drone is saying, hey, I'm here, and the person operating me is here. You can actually plug in a little box into your police station or your firehouse, and you can say, hey, I want to see the license plate of the drones that are operating, and you can get the information of where they're being operated from, and you can get the information, the license plate of who that person is operating that drone. This is a really cool technology called remote identification. Aloft has a product called AirBoss that can give you that information right now. You can plug it in. It's available today. And we aim to be able to give municipalities, states, countries that ability to see who's operating their drones.
That's fascinating. So and once you get something like this, it literally would be like an air traffic controller, right? That's all automated in essence. So you have, I mean, commercial aircraft, right? Don't they emit their identification so that all air traffic controllers everywhere know exactly what plane is coming from where and where it's, if they file their flight plan, you know from whence it comes and where it's going. And is this sort of, well, maybe not to that extent, but at least you know who the drone operator is, so that
It's
it
actually
at least puts
better
everybody at
than
ease.
what commercial aircraft use. Commercial aircraft only show you the aircraft and the N number. This is actually tied to a specific person, and you can see where that person is operating the drone from. As of September 23rd, 2023, the FAA has mandated that every aircraft have the ability, or every drone have the ability to identify itself, and you can get that information right over the air. Aloft makes it easy to do that, and we have that ability to show municipalities where those drones are operating.
All right. But basically, the people of New Jersey right now, and now that we see this uptick again in drone spottings, I guess now that the restrictions have been lifted, probably should not be too concerned. Maybe it's just now that the restrictions have been lifted, that simply means that drone enthusiasts are out there flying their drones again. And there's nothing more nefarious than that. And they have a legal right to do so, right?
They do. There's plenty of rights for them to have the ability to operate in Class Gulf airspace, which is unrestricted airspace. The big thing that I get, because I'm a New Jersey native, a very proud New Jersey native, and a drone enthusiast, when people ask me, is this aliens? Is this the government? I said, listen, if you have the ability to travel intergalactically, or you want to have the newest technology, you're not going to fly to another galaxy to follow FAA Part 107.29 to the letter perfectly. This is an amazing amount of effort to be put in to follow the rules. These are just folks who want to operate their drones safely and compliantly, and we applaud them for doing so.
All right, Joshua Ziering, we thank you so much for being on. You are the go-to guy when it comes to drones and all things aviation, so we appreciate it. And I apologize for my technical faux pas on this end. So, but thank you so much for being there this morning. We appreciate
Ken,
it.
thank you for
Have a
having
great
me.
morning. You bet. My pleasure. 7:31 is our time right now. 35 degrees the temperature. We're going to have maybe a passing flurry, a squall, especially in northern New Jersey. Meteorologist Mike Favette will be back in just a little bit. You are watching On New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato, and we are coming right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. That is me. It is 7:34 on your Tuesday, January 28th, 35 degrees our temperature. A passing flurry in some parts of northern New Jersey this morning. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has all the details up ahead. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Ken. We've got a pretty decent week ahead with lots of sun on Thursday. So excited for that. You can get out, you can enjoy with temperatures starting to fall by the weekend. That also means the potential for more snow because we're in this more active pattern, which not only brings back the snow squalls today and then that drier period by Thursday, but some rain moves back into the picture on Friday. And with the cold air, some of that may turn into some ice at times, maybe in northern sections of New Jersey with some freezing rain and snow mixed in. And then there's another shot of snow this weekend as well. We'll time it out for you coming up with the 7-day forecast in just a bit. As far as today, temperatures across southern New Jersey, right there from Atlantic County down through Cape May County in the mid 40s. It'll feel quite pleasant, a bit breezy with the passing cloud through the afternoon, but it's something we've been watching with another round of light snow coming in due to a clipper system. And this is what's heading to northern New Jersey tomorrow. Notice it follows that jet stream, that upper level flow across the Great Lakes. Lakes are frozen, so this isn't lake effect snow. But as it moves over upstate New York, some of that energy may dive through northern New Jersey and maybe give us another burst of flurries tomorrow afternoon as well. There's that front pushing through, and there's the clippers swinging on by to our north, and with that, a little bit of a front. So it's another reinforcing shot of pretty chilly weather that takes over for your Wednesday. And then by Thursday, under the influence of high pressure, beautiful clear sky to look great. Our next system moves in right after that, especially going into Friday morning before the morning rush. You see those shades of pink there in northern New Jersey. Could be some freezing rain with the snow off to the north. And then most of that wet weather falls across central and southern New Jersey where that rain is really needed. And it could really get going, especially by midday on Friday. All of that rain across the drought-stricken portion of southern New Jersey that remains in that extreme drought. So the long-range futurecast putting that rain upon us for Friday, and then with a little bit of snow that could move in by the end of the weekend, there's still the potential for another few flakes going in through Sunday. So it's a mixed bag, especially every day this week have something new. The best chances for rain, I think, you can see the Friday numbers skyrocket up to 70 degrees, and then our chances are much less for this weekend. But still, by the end of the week, could be looking at a good soaking that'll bring our January rainfall totals up maybe about up to an inch or two. That is great because it's been a very dry January, one of our driest in recent history. And that's, of course, coming off of a very dry fall. So that will help replenish the reservoirs as we need that here in New Jersey, especially going into the next few days and the next few weeks. Now, with the 7-day forecast, bringing back again, chance of a flurry tomorrow afternoon, specifically northern New Jersey. We're dry and beautiful on Thursday, but colder, and there's that rain on Friday. Could be mixing in at times in the northern sections of the state with a little bit of that freezing rain potentially. And then the weekend here, it looks okay, but again, there are those potentials for some snow by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday. So forecast is changing, Ken, but going into next week, we start off Monday on a milder note, and that looks good to kick off February, at least on a little bit of a less harsh feel.
Well, there you go. Not so bad. And February is usually brutal in
Yeah.
this area, right? February is usually one of those very changey, brutal, snowy, cold months. So we'll see what happens. Keep our fingers crossed. But again, I always love to say you get through February, even if you get, and we've had some really big snowstorms in March, right? Because you get the change of seasons coming up and the clash of fronts. But the good thing is you're not going to have snow on the ground for 6 months at that point, right? You see
That is
spring
true too.
coming.
And
So
it's the longer daylight hours too. You look outside and even yesterday, 4:30 in the evening, it was bright and sunny. So those longer daylight hours are certainly helping at least that those winter blues especially.
I'm with you. Thank you very much, Errol. We'll check back with you in a little bit. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, 35 degrees right now. 7:38 is the time. And if you'd like to call in, we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. In fact, I have a whole rundown right now I'm going to give you of topics I'd like to hit, but I want you to determine which ones we're going to get into more in depth. Our number, 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato, and that is me. Google Maps announced yesterday they're going to be updated to list what is currently listed by them as the Gulf of Mexico. They said they will acquiesce and change Gulf of Mexico on their maps to Gulf of America. That only they're going to wait until the federal government changes all of its forms. But knowing the Trump administration, that'll probably be done in a day. So once all the federal documentation is done, the ink is dried, Google Maps, which is significant, Google Maps will then officially list what was known as the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. By executive fiat, the president does have a right to say that the federal government will recognize by a certain name different areas. And for people who say, "What right does he have to do that?" He has. That's what executive fiat means. That's what the executive orders mean. You have a right to say that. It doesn't mean that you have to call it that, but it means that officially the federal government and the executive branch must call it that. And if they're going to call it that, that means all the departments under the executive branch of government must call it that. So if they're the ones who are handling maps, et cetera, and the head, the CEO of the executive branch, who is the president, whoever the president may be, issues a dictum which says this is what we're calling it, there you go. Just like President Biden said, you can't call them illegal aliens, even though court documents, federal court documents, refer to illegal migrants as illegal aliens. All right. And the Constitution refers to people as aliens. That the Biden administration issued an order that his offices were to refer to people as undocumented migrants, which is offensive to people who are migrants, because people who go through, migrants simply meaning moving from point to point, people who go through all the proper channels get conflated with people who are breaking the law and knowingly breaking. You accidentally end up 700 miles away from home across a border that you know belongs to another country. It is what it is. And I know we all feel bad and they just want a better life, et cetera. I get it. And a lot of them do jobs that maybe we do or don't want to do. I get it. Go through the proper channels. That's all. Listen, that's like saying, listen, I'm hungry. I can go for food this morning. Okay. So now the proper channels are reach in my pocket or ask a friend or a relative, can I borrow a couple of bucks, and go and buy food. The improper channels would be to go break through the front glass of a store that's closed and steal food off the shelf just because you're hungry. See, it starts out the same way. Just because you want a better life, just because you're hungry, means there's a proper way and an improper way. So it is a game of semantics that the left loves to play. All right, playing games like saying undocumented, the undocumented. No, well, I mean, listen, if I lose my driver's license, does that make me undocumented? Stop with the conflation. It is an intentional breaking of U.S. sovereign law. And if you or I went to any other country on the planet and did exactly the same thing, we would go to jail instantly. See, you don't hear of it much because nobody does that. How many people break into Botswana? How many people break into El Salvador? Nobody does. Remember, there was the one U.S. Marine who, because of a traffic detour, he was in San Diego, and there was road construction, and it detoured him down a certain road at night. And not knowing, it detoured him onto the interstate, which took him right into Mexico. He got off the exit in Mexico, and he went to turn around to come back to the United States. And as he made the U-turn on a street at night, a desolate street, a Mexican police officer pulled him over and saw that he was in fatigues, and then decided to, they don't have to have a reason to check your car. He got him out of the car, and he saw that the Marine had military issued weapons in the back. Why? Because he's a Marine. That's what he carries. And he had legal rights in the United States to those weapons. Well, that Marine was then arrested and thrown in jail, and was in jail in Mexico for over a year because they have a zero tolerance policy for guns. Of course, unless you're part of a drug cartel, then you could have missile launchers and they don't care because the government's getting money and they just look the other way. So it's an amazing double standard. But yet you didn't hear the left screaming for the Mexican government to release our U.S. Citizen. Why? Because he was military. He was likely right wing. He had weapons. So the left and the media, in legacy media in the United States, kept their mouths shut. Amazingly quiet crickets. You had a circumstance just last week. And I'm just looking to see if we have calls coming in. Again, it's the number is 888-658-0234. We want to hear what you have to say. We had an episode just last week where a U.S. Border Patrol agent up at the Canadian border was shot dead. And crickets from legacy media right now. You know why there are crickets from legacy media? The two people who were in the car, one of whom was shot dead by another border patrol person. The two people are transgender activists from Germany. And there is something there. They are terrorists, yet mainstream media is not doing a thing about it. Google it, look it up. These two are terrorists wanted in Germany. They are transgenders. But you see, anytime you have a transgender school shooting, and the last several school shootings have been done by transgenders, crickets, because the left mainstream so-called legacy media, it doesn't fit the narrative, because what does it suggest? It suggests that people who are transgender may have some psychological disturbances. And we don't want to suggest that because we don't want to ruffle any feathers, because it upsets the left's narrative. So they don't mention they never mention if somebody is an illegal migrant. They never mention if somebody is transgender. If it's something nefarious and it's done by one of their groups, they just conveniently leave it quiet. They don't mention it. That's the game of semantics played by the left. I worked for legacy media for 40 years. Believe me, you're surrounded by 20-somethings in a newsroom. They are in their left-wing bubble. They all live in the Upper West Side and make six-figure incomes. They all hang out at the same bars and the same restaurants. They all think the same way. They all went to the same schools. And this is why when you watch NBC, CBS, ABC, you get the same thing. CNN, MSNBC, you get the same narrative. And they literally go work from place to place. Many of them are freelance. Many of them work for 2 or 3 different networks, depending on the day of the week, and they all have the same mindset. 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. If you'd like to give us a call, you're watching on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. That is me, 746. It is 34 degrees. We had some passing flurries this morning. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will be back with a full forecast in a moment. Tells us we'll have some clouds early, partly cloudy this afternoon, windy with highs in the mid-40s, and then maybe a snow clipper tomorrow. We are coming right back. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings with Ken Rosato. That is me. It is Tuesday, the 28th of January. Our temperature right now, 34 degrees, 7:50 in the morning. We'll check with meteorologist Mike Favetta and the New Jersey forecast in just a couple of moments. Just a couple of little tidbits that I think those, at least members of the media, will love to hear this. And usually I don't like to gloat about something like this, but when you hear the details, you'll know why. If you've ever watched CNN, you've seen Jim Acosta, very handsome man, good voice. He at least pretends to know what he's talking about. People who know Jim, people in the media think he's an ass. Am I allowed to say ass? Yeah, we're streaming. I could say it. He's a jackass. Okay. Jim is cocky, arrogant, condescending, and thinks a lot of people around him are all under him. And other members of the media, he looks down upon. So this is not just me. If you Google it, you will see it's all over the web. People who know him, who've worked with him, that's all they talk about. So I'm not telling you anything secret. I've met him only once in my life, and in the time that I met him, this is the way. This is the way. Mind you, I had been an ABC anchor for 20 years, and this is the way I was greeted. Hi, I'm Jim Acosta, and you are. I hate when just as a little tip, if you're not sure who somebody is, say your name and say, so nice to meet you, but never say, and you are, because you could be meeting the president. You don't know. Always give the courtesy of extending your hand and assuming that everyone knows who this person is out of respect. I don't care who the person is. And you are is so condescending, meaning he had no desire to know who I was. At least acknowledge, you know what? I'm ignorant of the fact that I don't know who you are. Anyway, Jim Acosta used to do a midday show on CNN, and his ratings were so low, so bad that with the change of the administration, et cetera, now to the Trump administration, he has been bumped to midnight. And as a result, I guess that damaged his pride so much that Mr. Acosta has told CNN that he will not do it and he will leave if they force him to do that. So they said, don't let the good Lord hit you or don't let the door hit you, excuse me, where the good Lord split you, the old saying. So it looks like Mr. Costa will be gone from CNN. Don't know when that'll be happening, but couldn't be soon enough because of the attitude that he's had. And this is also people who've worked with him, whom I know, people who've been behind the scenes, producers, et cetera, who just say he is intolerant, impossible, just bossy, broody, and condescending. So, we're not on broadcast, we're streaming. So I could tell you the truth. That's what I hear. I know from my personal experience of having met him, that's what you get with Jim Acosta. So where are you going to go in this media situation today where TV stations are firing people left and right? Couldn't tell you. Good luck to him, though. 753 888 658 0234 if you'd like to give us a call on New Jersey Mornings. Right now, though, we had a little passing snow squall this morning, and we could see a little clipper tomorrow, too. Partly cloudy, though, this afternoon, but milder with temps in the 40s. But let's get the absolute details from the guy who knows all about it, because I'm only taking notes from him earlier. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. A little chillier with the wind because you'll notice a gusty wind around this morning, thanks, of course, to that front pushing through, bringing in another round of Arctic air. And while it technically is warmer yesterday, if you look at the thermometer, you go, oh, okay, upper 30s, not terrible. It's the wind chill. That makes it feel so much harsher. 20s right now across the state, even some low 30s popping up. Where the gusty winds are happening right now, gusty winds of 29 miles per hour up in Hackensack. Yeah, that'll freshen your early morning walk, make it feel extra brisk Tuesday morning at 7:54. Good morning to you in Morristown. Feels like 24, feels like 31 in Newark. And how about that? In Long Branch, a 17-degree wind gust, making it feel very cold throughout the afternoon. So, like Ken mentioned, we have another chance or another opportunity of a few bursts of flurries tomorrow. And it's due to this clipper system that rides on by, really clipping northern New Jersey. I think anywhere north of Route 78, you have the potential of seeing a quick passing flurry tomorrow. But beyond that, most of the snow stays upstate. It's really Friday that we get some statewide rain, much needed rain. It's been dry, even though the ground has been frozen and we had all that snowfall from earlier this month. We could use some wet weather. And with that, I think we'll see it throughout the day on Friday, leading to potentially some freezing rain concerns up in northern New Jersey through Morris and Sussex County before sunrise. and then it all clears out by Friday evening. Saturday and Sunday, still a toss-up because the weather models are kind of converging on a little bit of snow with a next round of weather coming in for Sunday. Yesterday it had it on Saturday. Today it's pushing it back to Sunday. It's still very early. We're still 5 days away from that. So I think there is the potential for a little bit of snow and rain at some point this weekend, and that may bring back a little bit of milder weather to start off next week. So we're kind of seeing this seesaw effect, the changing weather going every few days from the very brutal cold to another round of mild weather with a chance of flurries there again tomorrow. Now, Thursday, while it's sunny all day, we'll see highs climb to 35 degrees. And then by Friday, there's that rain back in the 40s. So adding 11 degrees in just a day, only to drop 11 degrees by Saturday. So this is sort of entering that weather season where we see the big seesaw effect. A lot of warmth one day and then brutal cold the next, especially with that Sunday morning low of 20 degrees early on in the day, warming back up to the upper 40s, near 50 by Monday. The South Jersey forecast for the shore points, you escape the flurries tomorrow. It's just sunshine for you. But look at that, 47 degrees, only to drop down to 38 on Thursday with the clear sky. Back in the upper 40s, near 50 by Friday with all that rain that comes in. And then the weekend, while it could be a little cloudier, again, there's still that potential for a passing snow shower, depending on where that system goes and how it develops, only to warm back up for the first Monday in February, Ken, at 47 degrees. So big swings with the weather, even though it's about 10 to 12 degrees, just every day we see get a new kind of weather pattern thrown at us that we're going into a pretty active season. But we're looking forward to the rain, which is some good news. And we're also looking forward to those sunny days thrown in there. At least, Ken, it's not stretched out with all of this wet weather that we've seen, day after day, or clouds day after day. So some brighter skies, some longer daylight hours. We'll take it going forward.
Isn't it amazing what it does to your mood to get the sunshine? You
Yeah.
know that it's actually in the Bible. Jesus, here, I'm going to get biblical on you. Jesus talked about how darker, shorter days in winter impacted him negatively. Look it up. So it impacts everybody. If it impacts God that way, it impacts all of us. So, there's something to be said about having the longer days. I definitely love it. So definitely good to have you on. All right, so meteorologist Mike Pavetta, we'll check back with you. We appreciate the forecast. Once again, it is 34 degrees and 7:57 right now. And when we come back in the next hour, we're going to be talking to Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia. We're going to be talking about school choice in New Jersey. And are there enough people to demand it? Because you have a lot of people in a lot of school districts who aren't happy with their schools and wish that they could get a voucher and go to a private school. We're also going to be talking about what's happening at the southern border right now, how there are gunfights happening now along the border, because remember, having the border shut down means the drug cartels and the people traffickers are going to lose their money. They make millions and millions of dollars trafficking in humans, taking them to the border, and of course in trafficking in sex cartels. They kidnap people at the border, or in Mexico rather, bring them to the border, and they sell them into sex slavery in the United States. This has been going on throughout the Biden administration. The Trump administration wants it shut down. Now the cartels are upset. They're firing on our agents at the border. We'll tell you all about what's going on to prevent anyone getting hurt. That's all ahead when we come back on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. 888-658-0234. 7:59 is our time, and we are coming right back. Very good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. It is January 28th. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings with Ken Rosato. Some people in northern New Jersey this morning, you saw a little burst of flurries. Not so much in the southern part, but you could even see another little squall passing tomorrow. But you know what? I don't know those details. I know somebody who does. Meteorologist Mike Favetta knows all about it. We are a little milder, right? 35 degrees, but it doesn't feel that way because of all the wind this morning.
Good morning, Ken. Yeah, it doesn't feel that way. We have snow lighting up the radar picture just off to our north. A couple flakes working their way into or rather northern New Jersey. Central and southern New Jersey just has the clouds this morning clearing out, but it's that little blip on the radar screen sliding through northern New Jersey that could cause a few bursts of flurries. In fact, off to our west, where those shades are showing up brighter on the radar picture, that's where some snow squall warnings are happening, where the visibility drops so low, looks like a blizzard for a few moments. Live radar at this hour, 8:04. The radar scanning the skies there showing not much. Had a few flurries work their way through Morris County and saw a few patchy areas of flurries right through, say, Denville, Morris Plains, and East Hanover. Those have since passed, but the future radar shows another quick burst moving through Sussex County and might even head over towards places like Route 17, even right along Route 206 and down through 287, probably by the end of the morning rush. So changing weather today, especially when you look at the thermometer, you get in the car, you see, wow, 39 degrees, not so bad. 36 in Morristown, 41 in Atlantic City. Oh, but it's the wind. And it's the wind that counts because it's the wind gusts this morning, upwards of 20, 25 miles per hour in Camden, 24-mile-per-hour gusts in Medford that make it feel so much colder. That's why the wind chill currently feels like 27 in Morristown, feels like 32 in Long Branch and 31 in Toms River, 27 up in Hackensack. So a very cold feeling through this afternoon, even though it's about 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. At 8:05 this morning, Sussex feels 20 degrees warmer than, well, the actual air temperature is 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Feels a lot colder with that wind chill down toward Toms River and Ship Bottom through Ocean County. You see the temperatures there. Also, about 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. Clouds moving out, and with that front, you can see it right there, drawn in the clouds, moving out to sea. That will push in another round of cool air, bringing back our temperatures into the chilly territory through Thursday. But we get one more milder day tomorrow. However, it comes with a little bit of probably some flurry and maybe a few shower activity. So scattered snow showers again for northern New Jersey tomorrow. Wayne today climbs to a high of 40, 43 in Jersey City, and 35 up in Sussex with a mix of clouds and sun. So the next few days featuring that roller coaster effect. We start off tomorrow with highs climbing into the 40s, a few passing flakes and flurries in the northern section of New Jersey, with that maybe a scattered snow shower or rain shower in there. Brief, lasts no more than a few minutes. I think most of the day is just partly sunny. And then Thursday with the full sunshine, 35 as the high. So a much colder feel by Thursday, even though it'll be sunny. Friday brings back rain, and it could be substantial rain, maybe the most rain we've seen all this month because we've been running at quite the deficit. We'll talk more about rainfall coming up, of just how dry it's been for the month of January here for New Jersey and how much rain we could really use, given how we started the winter off with the drought. We don't want to end it with a drought because then that means, leads to water restrictions and all of the subsequent problems for the spring, right? When everybody gets out to the garden, gotta water those tomatoes and gotta keep the gardens healthy here in the Garden State, starting off in
How
spring.
do you know I have tomato? I only have 11 tomato plants growing by seed already right now. Oh my gosh, he knows the name is Rosato. I gotta have and you gotta have basil. I mean,
Oh,
it is what
absolutely.
it is. But I appreciate the fact that it's 46, even though we're gonna get a lot of rain on Friday. There's just something nice about seeing temps
It
in the
is.
mid to upper 40s that brings a little smile to the faccia, the
There's
face.
spring
All right,
vibes with
meteor
that feeling.
Yes, I think I'll just go out in a bathing suit and scare the neighbors and just run around at 46 degrees. That'll get me locked up. All right, meteorologist Mike Favetta, thank you so much. We'll be checking back with you in just a little bit. It is 35 degrees right now, and yes, the weather is changing a lot. But as Mike said, watch out. It's very, very windy this morning. So even if the temperature may be a little milder in terms of numbers, 35, it doesn't feel that way because of the high winds. We are on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. Our number is 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Joining us right now is Assemblywoman Don Fantasia, who, among other things, has championed the cause of school choice in the state of New Jersey. It's one of her passions, and you can understand why. She was an educator for years in schools throughout New Jersey. So we want to talk to her and bring her on this morning. Good morning, Assemblywoman. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you on. Thank you so much. So I know that this is something near and dear to your heart. Tell us about school choice and why there's such reticence from the governor's office.
Well, school choice really is the cornerstone of school improvement. I myself am a product of both Catholic school and traditional public school, and I've worked in the traditional public sector as well as the public charter school sector. So I feel like I speak from experience when I say that when there are diverse options for parents and for families, schools have no other choice but to improve. School choice is not about dismantling public education at all. It's actually providing valid options and quality options, to families regardless of their zip code.
And you have to figure that there's got to be a reason why there's such reticence, especially among certain groups in the state of New Jersey, and resistance, if you will. Is it that the teachers' unions are resisting because they're afraid that that'll mean fewer dollars going to public schools?
Well, that's definitely a piece of it, and that's a huge misconception. To just be frank, public schools don't own students. They don't own that money. The money should follow the student. And in New Jersey, there's no such thing as a private charter school. There are public charter schools. And quite ironically, at the inception of charters, public schools and unions were very, very happy about it. They, in many instances, were the impetus of creating a charter in order to create innovative solutions, think outside of the box. And then when, charters started taking off and got a life of their own and were really experiencing incredible growth, incredible gains, that's when the pushback began. I speak directly from experience. In 2008, joined a charter network of schools down in Bergen County. And I can speak from experience and say that I had a group of students who were performing at about 50% proficiency on the state exams at that time. It was called the NJ Ask. And I was an English teacher and I taught them English. And my superintendent was wonderful. He actually gave me and my colleagues a lot of leeway in order to adjust curriculum and design curriculum that met students where they were at. Also, we were allowed to do an innovative scenario where my students looped with me for 3 years. So I actually looped with them and helped write curriculum for them in grades 6, 7, and 8. And the proof is in the results. When those students graduated, I went from having students where 50% were not proficient on the test to I had 98% of my students pass the test. I had 25% of them advanced proficient, and 12 got into very competitive high school academies in Bergen County. Does that mean I was an English teacher extraordinaire? No, not necessarily. What it meant was charters give you the opportunity to really design and be prescriptive, with what children need. And it's not just public charter schools. We have a very robust program, or it should be robust, but it's not being taken advantage of enough. And that's the interdistrict public school choice program. I don't know if many of your listeners are familiar with it, but that we have 119 public school districts in New Jersey that have seats available to students outside their district of residence if a parent or family feels that that school is a better fit for their children. And that system is being highly underutilized. We had about 5,000, a little over 5,000 students placed this year, with about 60% more students on a waiting list for the program. And there are barriers. There's financial barriers, there's transportation barriers. And I simply can't understand for the life of me why the state can't get it together, give families true, viable options, support learning and support growth.
Yeah, it obviously somebody feels threatened by it and doesn't want this promoted more. I lived full time in the state of Florida for a while. I'm still part time in the state of Florida, and in the last 25 years, the state of Florida has embraced the charter school system, and there is school choice there. And since they did that, The state of Florida went from one of the lowest educational systems in the entire country to among the highest. Their students are achieving, and mind you, you have like 14 different languages spoken in the state of Florida. It's not just English and Spanish. You have Creole and Patois and et cetera, and it's taught in all these different languages. But these kids are coming out of schools so much better than they were 25 years ago. Why? Because, as you mentioned, you have the choice. Charter schools, in many cases, focus in on the specifics that certain students excel in. So if a student is good at cooking or at engineering or at whatever, you have charter schools that specialize, that embrace students at that level or on that topic and help them grow and help foster that education for them. Because if a student, let's face it, you go to school, even if there's one topic or one subject that you're not doing well in, it could bring down your whole feeling about that school. But yet, if you go to, say, a charter school that embraces the best in what you got and focuses in on it and helps you grow in that, you're going to want to go to school. You're going to want to learn. And they've seen this difference. Also in Florida, they now went back to uniforms, and they found that that's made a huge difference for the kids. They're not competing against who has the best shirt or the best sneakers. So it's just fascinating to me that there are so many people who are still fighting the idea of school choice and not using the program you're talking about.
The whole system, and thank you for sharing that about Florida. And back in the early 2000s, our learning standards were very, very similar to that of Florida. We would, oftentimes in my school at least, borrow some of the questions, some of the curriculum, and things of that nature that were available. So the two states really weren't too far apart when it came to what was being taught. But what I can say is that this relationship should not be adversarial. I was so fortunate in the district where I worked at, that was a charter. We had such a wonderful relationship with our district of residents. Their school principal would come to our school, would speak to our kids, support our kids. We were very supportive of them. Our children would go and play sports sometimes in their school district if it was a sport that our charter did not recognize. It was an absolutely wonderful symbiotic relationship that honestly made both districts stronger. And it's really disheartening when adults get in the way of what is
Mm.
actually best for children. And one of the fears I hear with the interdistrict school program is they're afraid that that might displace students who live in the district of residence, and absolutely not. This program is strictly voluntary for any school that wishes to accept kids. No child ever is nor should ever be displaced from their home school district. Parents pay a lot of money. New Jersey has one of the most dysfunctional school funding formulas in the entire nation, but you absolutely deserve the right to retain that seat for your child in your district of residence. But if that district is opening up seats and that public school district offers something that your public school district does not, and you choose to send your child there, you retain that right to do so. And that program, again, is just severely underutilized. And then don't forget, private schools. We have private schools. We have parochial schools. There's now virtual options. There's robust homeschooling and micro schools emerging in New Jersey. I think the real message here is not one size fits all. Parents need to be able to select what suits my child the best. Where does my child excel? What best, makes them blossom into the learners that they are meant to be, points them in the direction of careers or strengths that they have. Public education is guaranteed by the state of New Jersey, a fair and equitable education, a fair and equal education, might I say, and parents should be able to choose what that looks like for their children without special interests getting in the way.
Hey, Assemblywoman Don Fantasia, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I could see the passion you have, and you could tell that comes from an educator and somebody who has that experience. So we appreciate you coming on this morning. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet. The time now 8:17. We're going to have a full check of the forecast coming up with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. We just want to let you know there are a couple of incidents in traffic. We find out there's a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound at exit 145 by I-280 in East Orange. And we find out that there was an overturned truck on US 46, Route 46 westbound ramp to Main Street in Lodi. All lanes are closed. So if you are heading in that direction, remember, we urge you to take us with you. You could stream us in the car. We will keep you updated on weather and traffic, of course, through the morning. We're coming right back with a full check of the forecast right here on New Jersey Mornings after this. It's 8:20, 35 degrees. Welcome back to On New Jersey. I'm Ken Rosato. Let us check to see what the full forecast is. We go to meteorologist Mike Favetta. We have some winds this morning, making it feel real chilly. Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, and the sun too. Ken, people step outside and they hear us talking about snow squalls, but they see beautiful blue sky and go, "What's this weatherman talking about? Such a quack." No, it's actually coming down the Hudson. We'll show you on the future radar with the clear sky that cleared out the clouds overnight. We had a beautiful sunrise earlier, and then the radar picture just off to our north. It's like this wall of blue. It's all of these snow showers and flurry bursts with the snow squalls, actually creating some snow squall warnings. So you see these little yellow boxes here popping up just across the border in Port Jervis, just north of Sussex County, there into Sullivan County and Orange County, New York. That's what's sliding southward over the next few hours, and it will coincide likely just after the morning commute. So maybe some late morning errands, heading out for your lunch plans. You see the future radar here through 10:30, 11 o'clock showing those shades of blue, and these are the snow squalls entering Sussex County and not really breaking apart like they did earlier this morning or dissipating. So keep that in mind if you're out and about through the afternoon, specifically midday in northern New Jersey. Central New Jersey just likely picks up the extra clouds, and you see that there from Long Branch down through Point Pleasant. Low 40s is our highs today, even over in Huntington County toward Clinton and Flemington. Highs for you climb into the upper 30s, but it's the clouds, I think, that return through the afternoon and keeping highs close to the average. We should be at 40 for today's average. We get up to 43 in Newark. We're far from the record set back in 1974 of 69 degrees. So it can get rather warm. But today, it's all about the wind. And the forecast wind gusts through this afternoon are anywhere in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range. So it stays breezy into the end of the day. Gets windy again tomorrow. With that, that's the next round of cold air that comes in and makes for some pretty impressive wind chills by Thursday morning. So there are your wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour tomorrow. It's going to be another breezy day for your Wednesday, but Thursday sees a little bit of a calming trend with that high pressure kind of settling in overhead. The forecast wind chills through this evening. It'll feel like 17 degrees tonight over in Sussex. Tomorrow morning, not as harsh. Notice it's milder, even with the winds making the wind chill feel like it's around freezing. But it's Thursday. We get that next shot of cold air that comes in as soon as Wednesday evening, tomorrow evening. You see those shades of purple and pink work their way down through northern New Jersey. There it is, -1 in Morristown. Really chilly stuff coming in for Thursday morning. 8 is how it will feel in Hackensack on Thursday for the morning rush, and even down towards sections of Toms River, Monmouth and Ocean County, the teens for you. So some pretty chilly weather, but the good news about the wind is that it stirs up the air and keeps the air quality good. So nice and low. That's good news for any outdoor plans or getting that brisk afternoon run in or this evening. With the futurecast keeping things quiet throughout the afternoon. Again, the rest of this morning, these clouds here likely embedded. Some of those snow squalls and flurry bursts are likely into the rest of today. And then that happens again tomorrow with the front that pushes through. So even though the thermometer will say 40 or 42 degrees, there could be a few snow squalls move through tomorrow afternoon yet again with that second shot of reinforcing cold air with that front. Then we turn to Friday, and Friday is where we see a little bit of that rain move in. You see the bright shade of green here spread across the screen throughout the state, even some pink up north. That's some freezing rain and mixing potentially throughout Friday morning. So it's something to watch. We're a little too far out. We're just beyond the high resolution forecast modeling. That'll be available tomorrow to get a better picture of what will transpire throughout Friday morning. But I think the weekend also could see some snow in there by the end of the weekend, specifically on Saturday. Friday's rain is what we really need. I mentioned before, we'll talk about the drought. Well, these are the rainfall forecast totals. Statewide could be upwards of 1 inch, maybe 2. We are in such a rainfall deficit so far this year that persistent drought continues there across most of the state. I mean, it's pretty evident here how red this map is, going from northern Ocean County right down through Cape May, and there towards sections of Millville and Medford, there towards Salem counties. You have the extreme drought continuing, whereas the rest of the state remains in that severe to moderate drought. So drought conditions widespread across the state because we've only seen about 42% of normal rainfall over the past 30 days. In Newark, even down toward Millville and Atlantic City, 46% of normal rainfall. Places like Long Branch, very dry, 35% of our average rainfall. So with that dry, persistent feel going forward, the rainfall deficit is upwards of 2 inches across the state, and especially the areas where you see in red how dry it remains. So we could use the rain, and with that, the cold weather. The cold stays in place with that next reinforcing shot of chilly weather. We're on that conveyor belt of cold air from Canada, keeps running on down through the weekend and keeps us cold going into this weekend. That's why we have another shot of that rain and snow likely, specifically on Sunday. I think a better chance of seeing that precipitation fall across the Garden State. So some rain, some sun, some snow. Weather's keeping us on our toes, Ken, over the next several days with some pretty active patterns setting up as we finish out January on a very chilly and kind of snowy note.
There you go. And I just want to point out that Mike and I have the same fashion coordinator. Notice that we're both wearing the same color jacket. And I can't tell with my monitor what color shirt you have. It's like a powder blue.
This is a light blue, yeah.
I decided to
Julio
go pink
Barreto.
this morning. The name, oh, excuse me. Mine is called El Macy's. But Rosato means pink in it's Spanish and Italian. So I figured I'd go with my name. So there you go.
I'm helping you
All
out
right,
with a little pink
meteorologist.
collar, so it's working.
There
It's
you
doing its
go.
thing.
Like I know what I'm talking about. Keep it a secret, just between us. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will check back with you in a little bit. Thank you so much again, sir. We appreciate you. It is now 8:26. Our temperature's 36 degrees. And he is the editor of The Globe. We check in now with David Wildstein.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, January 28th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. If it seems that there's always an election going on in New Jersey, it's probably because there's always an election going on. Jersey has an inordinate number of election days every year. Just as an example, today in 5 New Jersey municipalities, there's special school referendum elections. Voters go to the polls to approve school funding bond referendums. This happens 4 times a year because the legislature decided that if the state is going to pick up part of school construction costs, the voters have to say yes. And as you can imagine, voter turnout is incredibly low. I mean, it's almost like a bunch of political insiders decided to have a better chance to spend money if the vote comes at odd times during the year when people don't really know that there's an election and less people show up. And to make it even more confusing, uh, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. in two of the towns, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in another, and in two more towns from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And so allow me to go through the number of election days in 2025. And just remember, this number is fluid. It sometimes goes up over the course of the year. And first of all, there's already been four elections in New Jersey, and January is not even over yet. There's been a special election convention to fill a state Senate seat, and there have been special election conventions to fill state assembly seats in the 6th, 7th, and 35th districts. In February, some municipalities hold fire commissioner elections. They come on Saturdays. We'll probably see special election conventions for the Assembly and the Senate in the 23rd District sometime in February, maybe early March, depending on when Doug Steinhardt becomes U.S. Attorney. That'll trigger an election for Assembly Minority Leader, and maybe as people move up, other contests for leadership positions. There's more special school elections in March. There's Board of Education elections in April. There's nonpartisan municipal elections in May. There's a primary in June. In July, you've got municipal chair and county chair elections in some place. And thank heavens we've got August off. But then there's more special school elections in September, and early voting starts on October 25th. There's a November general election that's followed by legislative leadership elections, maybe municipal runoffs in nonpartisan towns in December, and closing up the year with special school board elections, school referendum elections. Every election has its own deadlines: filing, voter registration, submission of challengers. That list goes on. I mean, it is exhausting just reciting the schedule. And we wonder why it's so challenging to get voters to go to the polls. That's all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
David Wallstein, the editor of The Globe. You can check it out online at all times. If you want to know anything political and anything about politics in New Jersey specifically, you check out The Globe and read or hear David Wildstein, as you just heard. Time now is 8:30, and when we come back, we'll check in again in just a few minutes with meteorologist Mike Pavetta. Also, we're going to talk about what's happening down at the border. We've had a lot of gunfire back and forth across the Mexico-U.S. border. We'll tell you about that and what's being done to help prevent any injuries on behalf of U.S. Border Patrol when ONNJ Mornings with Ken Rosato comes back right after this. Very good morning to you. 8:33. Welcome to ONNJ Jersey with Ken Rosato. That is me. It is Tuesday, the 28th of January, and if you are feeling a lot of wind outside, you're not imagining it. The winds are high, and we're going to tell you what that means in terms of the weather. There've been some snow squalls throughout parts of the state. We'll tell you all about that with meteorologist Mike Pavetta in just a moment. In the meantime, we do have some traffic issues I do have to tell you about. Right now, there's a crash on 495 eastbound, just west of Pleasant Avenue. That's in Union City. They have a lane blocked. And there's also an overturned truck on 46, the westbound ramp to Route 61, which is Main Street in Lodi. All lanes remaining closed there. So that's a big mess this morning. Delays on 24 westbound approaching Route 7 by 124 JFK Parkway in Milburn. But lanes are open there. And right now, delays on 208 southbound Grandview Avenue in Wyckoff to Maple Avenue in Fairlawn. That's slowing things down a little bit. We will, of course, keep you updated throughout the morning whenever we get new information. And you could take us with you in your car, stream us in your Apple Auto. And I'm not an Apple guy. What is it called? And it's Android Auto and Apple Play or Apple CarPlay, right? That's what it's called. All right, there you go. I'm a Samsung guy. Sorry about that. We should check in now at 8:35 with meteorologist Mike Pavetta, who knows more about all things technical in every capacity, especially the snow that we had. A little flake or two this morning, and maybe more tomorrow.
And a little more tomorrow. Yeah, a fun fact, I actually petitioned my old job to give me the Samsung device versus the iPhone because they had a barometer built in. Samsung put pressure sensors in all of their phones.
I have that.
This is going back like 15 years ago. So so you could actually measure the pressure, be part of like this citizen science and help forecast the weather, just from your pocket. It was really cool. And it's now leading to some startups, companies that help to forecast the weather just based on the minor pressure variations from block to block across metropolitan areas.
Amazing.
Really cool stuff. So props to Android. See, there is
you
a
go.
benefit.
Love it.
So yes, you can take us a listen in your car with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all those things. If you are out and about this morning, you will find some snow squalls working through northern New Jersey. Maybe brief whiteout conditions on the roads with those snow squalls coming in specifically for Sussex County, maybe even western sections of Passaic County. They'll be gone by the middle of the afternoon. So it's really a late morning, early afternoon, or midday concern with some snow squall bursts coming on down. And then we're back to another round, tomorrow, of snow squalls. Not as impactful, but it's the sun on Thursday that'll really look nice. Clear sky all day before rain gets us by Friday, and then another potential for some weekend snow. So kind of a mixed bag, every weather scenario coming at us in these last few days of January. With that, temperatures today climbing into the mid 40s down the shore from Ocean City, 44 for you, 43 in Avalon, and 43 in Cape May. But it's all about just how windy it feels. And with those winds coming in along this conveyor belt of energy, this upper level flow that starts off in Alberta, that's why they call it the Alberta Clipper. And these clippers will basically clip sections of northern New Jersey again tomorrow with another round of light snow. I think most of it stays in upstate New York. It's going to be a far fetch to give us anything more than a dusting up in Sussex County briefly, and then it all melts a few minutes later when the sun comes out. So there's the front that moves on by today. Here's the clipper that stays to our north, but with it, that trailing front gives us another round of gusty winds throughout tomorrow and especially tomorrow night. That sets the stage for some very cold weather by Thursday. And even though it'll be sunny all day on Thursday, we'll be hard pressed to leave the 20s. It'll feel chilly most of the day with actual highs, not really leaving the 20s and feeling much colder than that with wind chills in the teens and single digits Thursday morning. Then later Thursday night into Friday morning, our next rain system moves in. There's enough cold air to allow for some freezing rain up north. So that'll be a concern for the Friday morning rush as that warmer air pushes in with that warm front. The rain takes over, and it's much needed rain in the drought-stricken portion of central and southern New Jersey. So hour by hour, the future cast here going long range. You see that Sunday morning likely has another round of light snow with, again, most of the energy staying to our north, but we kind of tap into some of that snow potentially later on Sunday evening into Sunday night, and then that should clear out by Monday, leading to a milder start to February. That'll feel nice. Rainfall chances for the rest of this week, the highest looks to be on Friday. That's where we get the big spike of a 70% chance of rain, but I think a good portion of the state certainly sees some rain. The weekend still a toss up in the air. We're still a little too far out to kind of see what'll happen with that little bit of snow going down the road. And then, of course, there's that snow clipper that comes on by. Wanted to show you the 7-day forecast, which has mostly dry conditions by Thursday. Again, there's the potential for another clipper that comes through throughout the day tomorrow. It's Friday that has all of the rain, and with that wet weather that leads to a very wet finish to the work week, we chill out and we dry out for the weekend, with the exception of Sunday into Sunday night. Might see some snow there. Southern New Jersey points, South Jersey into the shore points, has a little bit more of a chance of rain for Friday, with most of the energy staying south. So I think maybe heavier rainfall amounts, which is good. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches expected on Friday. Great news for those areas that are suffering from the drought. And then by Saturday and Sunday, I think the clouds linger as temperatures warm back to the mid and upper 40s by Monday. Odd to say, we start off the first Monday in February, Ken, with a high near 50 degrees, but I don't think it'll last. Obviously, we tend to get these cold
A little
blasts of
tease.
air that quickly follow. Yeah, exactly. And that'll be the case, I think, to see that, the seesaw, the roller coaster. We go into the 20s one morning and then back into the 50s the next.
You know what I love, and I know we could have deep freeze in February and March. We could have it right up until spring. We've even had it after spring. But because I'm a weather geek, I'm certainly not a professional at it by any chance. But I love to observe and to recall, because I love to pounce on people who say we never had this. It never used to do that, and I'm like, yeah, it did like 2 years ago. You don't remember? I could tell you the
Sure.
date that it did that.
You're right. All
But
about
one
the
of the things
stats.
that, right?
Yes.
I always find that the single digit super deep freeze, depending on the year, it's never earlier than rarely, but rarely earlier than the middle of December, and it usually stops sometime by the 3rd week in January. And that 5-week period, I find that's when you'll get the single digits. After that, you get 20s, sure, which can be cold, 20s, 30s, but it kind of gradually then becomes 30s, 40s, 40s until you get into the spring. So like just from in the back of my head, from my recollection, we've already kind of passed the uber cold period. But you're going to probably say, Ken, I know more than that, and you're absolutely wrong. But
No, you're absolutely right. Typically, when we get to the end of January, you've seen the daylight hours getting longer, so there's more and more sunshine, the solar radiance, hitting the northern hemisphere here where we are, and so yes, less of an opportunity to have those super cold deep freeze outbreaks that are prolonged and last for a long period of time. But yeah, a cold morning here or there, sure, it's still wintertime.
there you go. All right. Thank you so much, meteorologist Mike Favetta. We appreciate you sticking along with us this morning, too. Thank you so much, sir. All right. It is 8:41, 37 degrees. So, yes, because of that extra sunshine, we've come up a couple of degrees already in the last hour or so since we started the show this morning at 7 o'clock. And as Mike said, we had bursts of flurries this morning, parts of New Jersey seeing like squalls. So you see clear skies and sunshine, like that's Jersey City there. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get this burst of snow from one rogue cloud. And for a minute, it looks like you have a blizzard, and then boom, all of a sudden it's clearing up again. So that's the deal with that. Hey, if you know anybody in Ramsey, New Jersey, as opposed to Ramsey, Connecticut, Ramsey, ask them if they are into scratch offs. I don't know if you're into lottery at all, but somebody in Ramsey bought a scratch off ticket that was worth $4 million, or shall we say $4 million. It was the 200x or 200 times cash blitz. And it says went up to $4 million right on the front of the ticket. I'm looking at it here on my computer screen. So it was a $30 scratch off. So somebody took that big chance with $30, but it was sure worth it because they got $4 million. It was purchased recently at Krauser's on Main Street in Ramsey. So that apparently was announced on Monday. The player opted to remain anonymous. I don't blame them. And they chose the cash option. I didn't even realize that scratch offs have a cash option. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But the cash option for that scratch off, which is $4 million, the cash option is $2,409,200. Nothing to sneeze at. But then remember, you now have to pay state tax and federal tax. So when all is said and done, that $4 million ticket's going to be worth about $1 million, $1.25 million, like that. Again, nothing to sneeze at, but You can't really say, I won $4 million. You won $1.25 million. That's the way it is. Just to talk about some other things in the news today before we open up again and take your calls at 888-658-0234, 1-888-658-0234 on New Jersey Mornings. We want to take your calls. Thousands of military members have shown up at the southern border as the drug cartels have been firing their automatic weapons across the border at Border Patrol agents. Of course, the drug cartels are very upset because their source of income will dry up, because if they can't get people across the border, they can't make money. They make tens of thousands of dollars sneaking people across the border. They know exactly where along the border where they could sneak people across. As we continue to build the border wall, there are fewer and fewer places for people to cross. We've already discovered many of the tunnels under crossings that they've dug, so we've filled them in with concrete. So they're losing their opportunities. The only other way is to build a drone and fly people over, and don't put it past them to try to do that at some point in the near future. But right now, they are very upset because that is their source of income. This money fuels the drug cartels, it fuels human trafficking, and this has been going on for years. It has blossomed under the Biden administration because people like Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security at the time, what a joke, who initially lied to the American people on camera over and over again, saying the border is secure. There are no people coming across the border, when literally they were coming across 2.5 million a year. Were coming across literally as if he was standing in front of a building that was on fire and saying, nothing to see here. There's nothing on fire. Just an obnoxious liar. Looked people in the eye and lied repeatedly. And now, by the way, in most recent interviews, he is throwing the former President Biden under the bus, suggesting that, we had jobs to do. We had to follow the rules, basically saying it wasn't my call. He was telling me to do it. So he acknowledges he lied to the American people over and over again. I say someone like that should be prosecuted for lying to the American people. He took an oath to uphold the Constitution, to defend and protect the United States of America, the people therein, and he did not. He is flagrantly in violation of that oath because he allowed millions of people in. We don't know. Most could be nice. Some could be very nefarious with nefarious desires. And we already know we had thousands of murderers, rapists, drug dealers who came across that border because they just walked across when this guy lied to us and said the border was secure. So now President Trump has dispatched at least 10,000 military members. They've shown up and they are helping put up razor wire until the full wall can be built to keep people out. They're also firing back. They actually have weapons. See, under Biden, any National Guard troops, the few that he did dispatch to the border, they were not given weapons, and those that did have weapons were not given any kind of ammunition. So basically, they were there for show. It was so that he could tell the American people, see, I sent the military to the border. What good is it if they go down there with a pencil? Doesn't do anything. So he sent the military to the border to do what? To help basically put diapers on the babies who were coming across illegally. That does nothing to protect and defend the United States. Another person who should be prosecuted, who probably should have given himself a pardon in advance, because I know Trump doesn't. He wants to let bygones be bygones. As far as I'm concerned, you put this country at risk, Mr. Biden, Mr. Mayorkas. You lied to us. And you risked our safety. For what? I can tell you. If you want to know why would he do that, I'll tell you simply. By allowing thousands upon thousands, millions upon millions of illegal migrants into this country, or let's call them what we're back to calling them under the U.S. government, illegal aliens, because that's what the Constitution calls them. Okay. By allowing millions in, they tend to settle in giant urban centers that tend to be liberal. So when you add thousands or tens of thousands of people to an urban center that is liberal, what does that do for the next census? Everybody, whether you're here legally or not, fills out the census form. That's the way the law is written. So when suddenly we have thousands of extra people in an urban center, that means the federal government will redistrict and grant extra members of Congress to that district. And if that district is 70% Democrat, that means that the people who can vote in that district will vote in a new Democrat Congress member. So if you're wondering why the Republicans only have a 4-seat majority in the House, that's why. And when you get millions of people deported, you're going to see the populations of all those urban centers decrease, which means they're going to lose congressional seats. And all those congressional seats to the seat will be Democrat congressional seats, which means that when all is said and done, the Democrats stand to lose 10 to 20 congressional seats, which means Republicans will have a 25-seat advantage in Congress. That is why the Democrats don't want Trump to deport people. Has nothing to do with the babies. It has nothing to do with it. It's about maintaining control. And they know that if they lose those extra seats in Congress, they lose control for good. Because the American people are finally seeing through their phoniness. And the American media was absolutely a bunch of failures because they were complicit with the Biden administration and with Democrats in not reporting the facts. Either they were lazy and didn't look into it, or they were just negligent. They knew the truth, but it didn't fit the narrative to repeat that. 8:49 is our time. We're going to take a break on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're coming right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Time is 8:52. It's Tuesday, the 28th of January. Temperature 37 degrees. It is creeping up nicely. So it may look, though, that it is milder than yesterday, but certainly with the winds, it isn't. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta telling us all about the clipper we had, or we're getting tomorrow. You love to call it an Alberta clipper, right? Because it's from Alberta, Canada. Tell me all about the history of that, sir.
The history. Well, I didn't know we'd be giving history lessons this morning, but with as the weather typically is named, and the names are derived from the locations from which the origin of the event is. So, for instance,
Like the China virus.
well, sure. There's. I was going to
I
say
had to
that
throw it
in
at you.
places.
Thank you.
There's wind directions typically. So there are monsoon winds that you hear about coming from the ocean. The more frequent ones that I know of are in Italy. So there's the Sirocco winds, which come, from the desert hot winds. You have these Saharan winds, which come in off the coast of the northern coast of Algeria and work their way across Sicily. There's also the Foehn winds, which come across the Alps, so the northern sections of Switzerland down across the Alps. And so all these winds they do different things. And so, when you kind of use them in your daily weather forecast, people actually know what you're talking about, and they could say, "Oh, so this wind means that we'll have this kind of weather today," and that's kind of
Usually,
how.
whenever I'm talking, there's winds. So that's. But let me shut up and let you do the forecast. Go ahead, Mike. I'm so
No,
sorry, Mike. Thank you
it's
for
all
that,
about.
though.
We have a saying here in New Jersey: when the winds are from the east, the weather is not fit for man or beast. And so, typically, with
There you
those
go.
winds off of the water, you get misty, kind of dreary conditions. It's cold. It's terrible. We're not having those for the next few days. We get these northwest winds, and that means cold air, some really chilly air from Canada over the next week or so. But beyond that, we can take a step out and look into the longer range forecast with the Climate Prediction Center. And beyond the first week of February, really through the middle of February, you can see that there's going to be some average temperatures here across New Jersey, with higher than average temperatures and better chances of seeing warmer weather across the southeast. So impressively more mild weather that sets up across the southeastern part of the U.S. But will it rain even more? I don't think so. At least in New Jersey, there's better chances of seeing more wet weather in the Northwest, but here across the Garden State, it's just average dry going into the first week of February. So a little further out, I think we'll see some more chances of at least average conditions with slightly milder weather to start off the first week of February. Not this week, though. It stays chilly, especially into Thursday, with highs only climbing to 35 degrees. We get another chance of some snow squalls tomorrow. And then Friday brings back our rain, and it's a good soaking rain across most of the state as that system moves in. I think by Saturday into Sunday could be another shot of some drier weather. With that, maybe cooler conditions, cold enough to support some snow, perhaps. Stay tuned. I think we'll have more information about that tomorrow, specifically on Sunday. When the chance of precipitation or the chance of snow hits 30%, then the weather icon changes to snow. Otherwise, I have to manually go in and change it, and we really don't know too much, or enough, if you will, about Sunday afternoon snow to make that change. So TBD on Thursday, it's one to watch, and then on Sunday, it's one to watch. And then by Monday of next week, we have a little bit of a milder trend starting off. So February starting off with a little bit of a question mark, and then some milder weather. So we'll see how that transpires.
But at least we'll see it together, right? Won't that be
Yeah,
nice? All
we're
right.
all in it
I'm
together.
still on the Sirocco winds. I leave it to the Italian in me to go crazy about that. I love it. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, sir. We'll catch you in the morning. All right. It is now 8:56, and just again in traffic, we want to let you know that as of just a couple of minutes ago, we have a vehicle off the roadway on I-80 westbound at 52 Passaic Avenue. That's in Fairfield. Also, police activity on New Jersey 29 northbound north of 295 in Hamilton Township. Right shoulder is closed. And there is a crash with injuries on 495 eastbound west of Pleasant Avenue in Union City. The left lane is blocked. Also, an overturned truck on 46 on the westbound ramp by Main Street in Lodi. All lanes are closed. So we will keep you updated here, of course, each morning on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato. So we hope you join us, make us part of your morning routine. And of course, you could take us along in your car and just stream us because we like to call this a hybrid of radio and television. We'll of course keep you updated in terms of weather. You hear meteorologist Mike Favetta, and I got the traffic right here as well, and of course the news, and of course write down the number 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. We want you to voice your opinion. Let us know what you think, because this is our state. This is all about our state. That we are not New York City news. We are not Philadelphia news for those in the southern part of the state. This is New Jersey news, one of the largest markets in America if you just count the Garden State all by itself because of the huge population we have. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 on New Jersey Mornings with Ken Rosato right here on New Jersey. Have a wonderful day, folks.